Hello guys, magandang umaga sa ating mga kapwa OFW dyan at sa ating mga manonood. So, we will discuss on the Linux versus Windows. So, ano nga ba yung pinagkaiba ng dalawa? So, based on my experience or research or analysis, ikukumpara natin ang Linux at Windows. Ano nga ba ang sa kanila ang mas okay gamitin, mas advanced gamitin, at user-friendly na gagamitin? At sa kanila, alin sa kanila ang mas mura, affordable for personal use, offices, etc. So, umpisa muna tayo sa Linux at Windows. So, we just compare these two. So, what is Linux? May tanong dyan, what is Linux? So, ang ating discussion is Taglish. So, Tagalog and English. Dahil ako po ay isang Filipino, I need to teach this one in Tagalog or English. So, ano nga ba ang Linux and who made it? So, ang Linux is an operating system assembled under the model of free and open source software development and distribution. So since I'm just working here in Hungary, I do scripting. We are using Linux. So mostly I work in Cisco. We are doing scripting. We are applying the Linux to create script for all the Cisco product. So alam na alam ko yung gamitin. So Linux. So next one is the name, or the one who invented this one is the name Linus Torvalds, who made Linux. So ito yung tao yung nakagawa ng Linux. Ito yung nakaimbento. So there are 10 reasons why Linux. Meron daw 10 reason why we need to use Linux. Number 1 is Linux is open. So ibig sabihin na Linux is open. You can do everything in Linux. The second one is Linux is fully accessed. So like me, I'm using Linux. You can access every time you want to do scripting. Any PC that have Linux, you can access them anytime. So the third one is Linux is free. So kumpara natin sa Word or sa Windows-based OS. Ang Windows, parang OS din siya ng Apple. You need to buy everything. Compared to Linux, free yan lahat. Linux is reliable. So, reliable daw siya. Then, number 5 is Linux is backward compatible. Ibig sabihin ng backwards compatible. You can do anything. So, you can apply everything in here. So, number 6, Linux is network friendly. That's true. We are do Cisco products, so you can do multitasking using network. Or you can access every network that you want to do. Linux is stable. That is true, stable. So number 8, Linux is a virus-free. Then virus-free means that compared to Windows can easily get a virus from the network or anything. So number 9, Linux is really fast. That is true also. So later on this next slide, we will compare how fast is the Linux compared to Windows. Then the pang-sampu ay Linux has awesome graphics. So number 10, the awesome graphics. Based on my experience, it is also true. So we'll go with the first one, Linux open source. So pag sinabing open source is an ability for anyone to view the code necessary to make the program. So that is the first one. The second one is the Linux is the most, and Linux and most of the programs that are available for it have their source code under a variety of licenses. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng Linux open source. So maraming variety raw ng licenses. So, Windows closed source. Ito yung uh, pinagkaiba ng dalawa. So, Windows closed source daw. So, unfortunately, Windows is closed source that you cannot change the code and see it else. That is true. Compared to Linux, you can edit the code in Linux compared to the Windows base. So the next one is Windows should. This one is typographical error. The Windows tells you, sorry, we're closed. That is true. You cannot do anything about that one. You cannot do anything about the source code. Kasi close nga sa. So we'll go with the security. Linux security. Linux prevent your computer from virus. You may ask yourself how Linux do it. When virus come to your computer, Linux security make it inactive. So there are different websites that you can learn on about Linux. You can just search on the Google. There are a variety of security. But pag kinumpara mo naman siya sa Windows, mas okay gamitin ang Linux kumpara sa Windows. So ano naman daw Windows security? Ano yung pinagkaiba kanina? Linux security, ngayon na Windows security. So Windows do not have the ability to prevent your computer from virus. Like us, we are also using the CPP. So we are using Windows base in our company. So what they do, the Microsoft will send us the patch for the antiviruses. Then we need to install it manually on the PC. That is the disadvantages of the Windows and the Linux. The second one is that we can say that Windows unsafe operating system because virus penetrate your system. That is true. So ano ba speed? Kumpara naman natin yung speed kanina. Security ngayon is speed. So Linux speed is constant. So ano ba ibig sabihin ng constant? The speed of the first day of setup Linux is the same of the last day of Linux in your system. Kasi hindi siya updated lagi. Hindi kagaya ng Windows kasi every time you need to update some softwares. Hindi kagaya ng Linux stable. So stable constant. Ibig sabihin, the first time that you use the Linux until the last day you're using the Linux, parehas pa rin. So, constant daw siya. Linux speed is faster than Windows by running off the time. So, yun yung capacity or the speed ng Linux. Napunta tayo ngayon sa access. So, Linux tsaka Windows. Pag tinignan nyo yung graphics, ano yung makikita nyo? So, si Linux daw, lahat ma-access mo. Pag si Windows, no access. You need to pay so that you can access it, right? So, yung cost naman, ano yung pinagkaiba nila in terms of cost? Si Linux is an operating system for free. So, you do not need to pay. Si Windows is costly operating system. You need to pay every time you need to install some software. Now, what is your opinion about Linux? And now you can choose between Linux and Windows. Ano ba yung opinion mo? Ano ba yung gusto mo? Based on our comparison between the two. Ano ba yung pumapasok na sa isip mo when you watch these videos? So for me, as a user, my opinion is I think Linux because I love Linux. So based on the data that I get or based on my experience that I use it, I think Linux is best compared to Windows. So hanggang dito na lang sa ating mga kapwa OFW. Sana may matutunan kayo at may makuha kayong idea about these two topics. So paalam guys. Thank you. God bless everyone.